If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button down below as it really helps me out. But let's get straight into the Leeds news. So this video was just going to be about Sinisterra, who you can see in the background of the thumbnail there. But Tyler Adams has been announced officially today and will be the 5th addition to the Leeds squad this summer, and I, for one, am very happy about it. Now, I did some videos where I talked about Mo Kamara, talked about Tyler Adams versus Sander Berger. They're all on the channel if you want to check them out. And essentially, I said that Tyler Adams is not as good as Calvin Phillips, but now that we're playing a 2, we're going to be playing Rocker and Tyler Adams together. They can cover for each other and they both provide different things. Tyler Adams is what you would call a destroyer. He breaks up the play, and that is his best feature, is his tackling and his ball recoveries, his interceptions, that sort of thing, which is something that Calvin Phillips had in spades, or has in spades, is that ability to be aggressive, to win the ball back and to get his team back on the ball. And for Jesse Marsch, that's exactly the sort of player you'd want in that position, because he wants us to win the ball and then in transition go up the field and attack. And I think that's a really key thing that's going to happen, especially because he's going to be sat next to Marc Roca, who is a little bit more of a technical midfielder with a bit of a better passing range than Tyler Adams. I think they will complement each other very, very well and work as a very good little double pivot in there. My only worry is we don't have enough in backup, because whilst we all appreciate that Adam Forshaw did a job last season, and Lewis Bate, when he came in as well, did really well, the issue for me is that if Tyler Adams or Marc Roca gets injured, now because we've got 2 holding midfielders, it's going to mean that somebody like Adam Forshaw or Lewis Bate is going to have to come in and deputise, and it basically leaves us in the same position we were in last summer. So hopefully in next summer is most realistic. We will bring in a 3rd holding midfielder as a backup for that position. Maybe a young one coming through to be a future prospect. But for me, that is slightly worrying. The actual first team positions that we've got, I'm very, very happy with. Tyler Adams, like I said, so he's a destroyer. He breaks up the play, he gets the ball down, and then he finds a player who's got a bit more technical ability. That's what I'm hoping to see from him anyway. And the other thing about him is he likes to carry the ball a bit more than what Calvin Phillips did. Calvin Phillips basically barely carried the ball at all. Progressive carries, that is carrying the ball into the opposition half 10 yards further than the last few passes have gone, basically. So his progressive dribbles are a lot higher than somebody like Calvin Phillips, so you can sort of expect to see him maybe breaking the lines, a bit like when we used to have Ben White in the Championship and he used to charge out from centre-back and break the lines by actually running rather than using the ball to pass through the lines. You can sort of expect a similar thing from Tyler Adams sometimes. If he sees a gap, he might go for it and then play it into the feet of somebody like Sinisterra, who we're going to talk about now. Now, Sinisterra has been put on Twitter as linked to Leeds United by Fabrizio Romano, and he says it is on its way, but obviously not as far done as the Tyler Adams deal, because that one is obviously done now. But Sinisterra is looking like he could be done in the next few days as well. The young PSV Eindhoven, that's Cody Gakpo, the young Feyenoord winger, 23 years old, 12 goals and 7 assists in the Eredivisie this season is a very, very good goal contribution. And in all competitions, I'm pretty sure he scored 23 goals this season. So that's including the Europa Conference League and the Dutch domestic cups, as well as the Eredivisie itself. So Sinisterra, then, what type of player is he? Well, I think he's quite similar to Rafinha. Rafinha isn't the tallest, and neither is Sinisterra. He's quite short. I don't have the exact details, but I've seen all the highlights. And he's quite short, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing. If he's low centre of gravity, he's good at dropping the shoulder. He's very, very skillful, and he's got bags of sauce. Now, he just looks like the next Rafinha. I mean, LUFC Lewis put a GIF on Twitter of them doing identical pirouette nutmegs against players down the wings, and he just looks like the similar sort of player. He's right-footed, but he likes to play on the left-hand side and cut in and shoot, which is really, really good as well. It's quite a modern way to play. Apparently, it will cost about £25 million, which isn't too bad. I think it's probably be about 30 million euros. So it wouldn't break our transfer record, but it would be in and about the sort of Brendan Aronson, Rodrigo range. Dan James as well is in that bracket. So it'll be in and out of those sort of territories. And if he can do a similar sort of trajectory to what Rafinha's done, then he will obviously go on to recuperate a big old fee for us. He can play left wing, striker, or right wing. He's a really, really strong dribbler. I had a comment saying that people do say that he can be knocked off the ball a little bit easily, but you don't get the whole package very often. He's not going to be big and strong and skillful. He's quite short, he's quite slight, but he's very skillful and he likes to cut inside and shoot. So I think Sinisterra will be really, really good signing for us. And I think he's sort of like a more attainable equivalent to Cody Gakpo, I think. Cody Gakpo looking like he'd be a little bit more expensive and maybe aiming for a little bit, not higher calibre of club, but a team who's fighting to qualify for European positions, I think is more what he's going to do. But this Sinisterra looks like the real deal for Leeds, and I think it could be a real good signing, especially, like I say, if in a few years he comes really good and we're able to sell him on for a load more money. So keep your eyes peeled on Sinisterra. Those 12 goals I talked about as well, that is from an XG of 8.85, so let's say an XG of 9. So he's actually outscoring his XG by 3 goals in the league alone, and obviously having scored 23 goals in all competitions, he's scored a lot of goals this season as an attacking midfielder / winger, and he's not an out-and-out striker. So it's been really, really good for him to be getting that many goals and assists. So like I say though, outscoring his XG is a real good sign, because no matter what league you're in, if you outscore your XG, you're doing something right because you're being clinical. And in the Premier League, one of the most important things you have is a clinical finisher up top. You can just tell by a perfect example being Brighton. Brighton play some really nice football, they create some really, really good chances, and then their strikers miss them. And that's why they finish where they do in the league, and it really is. If they had a 15 goal a season striker, even like what Bamford scored in his first season up, if they had a striker like that, they'd be way higher in the league. But that clinicality, if that is a word, is really, really important in the Premier League, because you don't get that many chances. And especially when you're playing the top teams, if you're playing Man City, if you're playing Liverpool, if you're playing these sort of teams, you might only get 1 or 2 chances. Like the City game that we had in the first season up, where we won 2-1. We had hardly any chances throughout that game, but Stuart Dallas finished it right when it mattered. And if you don't have a clinical finish, there's no point. Like, Stuart Dallas could have run through and he could have just missed. But a clinical finisher, somebody who outscores the XG, can only be a good thing. So that's really interesting as well. He looks like a really, really good signing, really promising, and I'm hoping we get him done regardless of whether Rafinha goes, and I think we will. I think he will come in with the board expecting Rafinha to go at some point in the future. Even if it's not this summer, he could still go next summer, and probably will, or in January to Barcelona after the World Cup. So I hope that we get Sinisterra regardless of whether Rafinha goes, and then I hope we go in for another striker, which will be a really, really important one, because I think whilst we've got Gelhardt and Bamford, I think we do need a little bit of backup in that area. If you could rely on Rodrigo to score goals, or Dan James, then I would feel a little bit more comfortable about the position we're in. But we know that Dan James can't finish for toffee. He can do everything well. He can sprint, he can work his pan out, but he just can't finish or have that final touch. So we do need a backup striker as well. So stay eyes peeled. Keep your eyes peeled on the channel, where we'll be talking about that, because no doubt in the next few weeks or days we'll be starting to get linked to some more attacking players. The board have talked about 6 players coming in, so I mean Sinisterra could be that 6th player, and he could be the backup striker, and he could be playing up top, which is a little bit different from what he's used to. He has played up top before, but not consistently. He's played on the left, he's played on the right, he's played in attacking midfield, he's played all over the attacking positions. So it'd be interesting to see if we do bring him in, if that's what he's going to be used for. But that's going to be it for this one. Hope you've enjoyed the news. Like I said at the start, if you've enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a new video. Thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you next time on Leeds Lately.